Here's a look at the character system in Fallout 4. You do spend a lot of time in our games looking at your stats, looking at your items, and in Fallout that comes to life with your Pip-Boy. Here are your 7 specials, and these really define who you are. You also have perks, which are skills and abilities you choose when you level up. And here's what it looks like when you make that choice. This is the perk chart where you can see all the perks you can select and the ones you have. It is organized by the 7 specials. There is a perk for each special and each rank of that special from 1 to 10. And if you have the value, you can choose it. So if you were to come out of the vault with a 10 charisma, you can pick this intimidation perk that lets you manipulate and control other people. There are 70 base perks with multiple ranks that do new things, yielding 275 that you can choose from. And it gives you a ton of choice and many different ways to develop your character over the course of the game. It's all up to you.
Hype never changes. But what's up, guys? It's a Saints fan. Welcome back to another Fallout 4 video, and as you just saw, there's going to be a ton of stuff we're going to be talking about in today's video. What you just saw, if you were wondering, earlier today Bethesda actually released a video talking about Fallout 4's character system, and as you saw, there's a ton of new information about perks and all that good stuff. Real quick, I just want to mention, I know I haven't been doing the videos covering the special videos that Bethesda have released, talking about the perception and the endurance, and I don't think I am going to be covering those videos like throughout the rest of them, so I just wanted to let you guys know on that. But in this video, like I said, there's a ton of stuff we can talk about. First thing I will link in the description is an article that was on Bethesda's website that they talk a little bit more in detail about some of these perks. They actually show off a perk chart, which I'll put on screen right now. It's pretty incredible. And actually at the bottom of the article, they mentioned that this perk poster is going to come with every physical pre-order copy of Fallout 4. So if you guys pre-ordered Skyrim when it came out, they had like a really cool poster of the map. This one for Fallout 4 is going to be a poster of the perk chart. And it does look pretty cool, so I'm excited for that. Now, I'm just going to run down sort of what they talked about in this article, and then we'll touch on what they mentioned in the video. Now, some of this stuff we already knew from E3 and Gamescom footage, but I'll just mention it anyway. So, you're going to start with 28 special points at the beginning. You can also change your specials when you exit the vault if you want to. You initially pick everything pre-war, I'm assuming when the Vault-Tec employee comes to your door. But if you wanted to change something up, you'll have that ability to before you enter the wasteland. They also mentioned that leveling is going to be XP based like Fallout 3 and not skill based like Skyrim. However, the leveling speed is going to be closer to Skyrim, so you're going to be getting perks much faster. And there is no level cap on the game, so theoretically you can unlock every perk and every special and have everything upgraded all the way. However, that's going to take a very long time, and I doubt many people will actually do that. Now, as you saw in the video, there's a new system in Fallout 4. In previous Fallout games, there were the specials, there were the skills, and then there were perks. Now, it's just the specials and the perks. The skills have just been incorporated into the perks. There are 70 base perks, obviously 7 specials, 10 perks, and some of them have different ranks. Total, I think he said there are 275 perks, so there's a lot to work with. And in the article, they mentioned that it was their goal that all the perks are balanced amongst each other, regardless of if they required a special of 1 or a special of 10. They say that the higher the special requirement, the more focused or exotic the perk was for that playstyle. For example, they give the Agility 1 perk, which is called Gunslinger. That one you get 20% more damage with pistols, and then the Agility perk 10 is called Gung Fu, and what it does is your second target in VATS will take 25% more damage regardless of the weapon. So not necessarily more overpowering, but like they said, it's just more focused if you were going for a character like that. Now, like I mentioned, there are ranks, and not every perk has a rank, but most of them do. And to make the game balanced, these perk ranks require you to be a certain level. For example, continuing with the Gunslinger and the Gung Fu perks, so the Gung Fu, as you progress through that perk tree, it allows even more damage the more targets you select in VATS, increasing to instant critical shots. Whereas the Gunslinger, as you progress that one in its perk tree, You can up the range of pistols, you can add a chance to disarm enemies, and you can also have instant limb crippling shots. Some more information about these perk ranks. Like I said, they do require you to be a higher level, and they gave another example. In Fallout 3, there was a perk called Paralyzing Palm, which allowed you to paralyze enemies through hand-to-hand combat, and now that becomes rank 5 for the perk Iron Fist. But first, you need to have chosen the previous 4 ranks from Iron Fist and be level 46. So that just gives you somewhat of an idea as to what level you're going to need to be for some of these higher perk ranks. Some other interesting information about a perk that was mentioned in the article. They mentioned the perk Strong Back, which if you're like me and you like to hoard everything, you like to carry a lot of stuff, you always had this, and now it doesn't just allow you to carry more. Higher ranks of it allow you to fast travel while encumbered, or even run while encumbered at the cost of action points. And that's definitely great news for all of us hoarders who just pick up everything that they see in the game. One of the things that I know I was confused about, at least initially, that they totally answered in this video was how were you going to increase your specials after the start of the game. And in the video, they mentioned that instead of taking a perk when you level up, you can choose to put a +1 to whatever special you want to choose. And that's how you're going to, max out your character theoretically, since there is no level cap. Another thing I want to mention here, and I don't think many people actually saw this because it was at the very bottom of the article and it was like a footnote. So they mention how there are very few exceptions to multiple perk ranks. They say some perks only have one rank, like the returning awareness perk. This perk lets you see the level and damage resistances of enemies during VATS. In cases like this, it felt bad to split that functionality into ranks. Fallout 4 does feature multiple damage types, primarily ballistic, energy, and radiation. Knowing what armor and weapon to use at certain times is important. So one, that told us a little bit about the awareness perk, so you can kind of see what you should be using in a situation in VATS with it. That's kind of neat. And 2, there are perks, like I said, that don't have multiple perk ranks, but there are only a few of them. And then finally, the last thing, which is honestly one of the coolest things in my opinion from this article, they mentioned that there are going to be separate perks that you can achieve through in-game magazines, which you can find throughout the Wasteland. And they said that there are over 100 of these. Some grant an individual perk, while others up the rank of a perk associated with that magazine. For example, there's a 10-issue run of Grognak the Barbarian comics that each give you an additional rank of the Barbarian perk, which raises the critical damage of melee attacks. That definitely sounds really fun. I'm going to be exploring a ton in the Wasteland looking for these magazines to rank up and get other perks. But that is pretty much it for all the new information from the article. I may do a separate video talking about some of the new perks that they mentioned in the video that you saw at the beginning. If you want, you can just pause it at the certain points and, read through the individual perks that they show. But this video is getting quite long, and I don't want to make it even longer by going in depth with those perks, so I might make that in another video. Thank you guys for watching, though. Definitely subscribe if you're interested in more Fallout 4 info and news. See you guys in the next video, though, and as always, it's your boy Saints Fan. I'm out. Peace.